want to talk to you about my Yamaha Tenere 700 model year 2022. I bought the bike new in 22. I have 3,900 miles on it, just a little bit under 4,000. And go for a little ride here. I just want to show you kind of what I've done to it and one man's thoughts on it. Oh, I use the bike as about half paved. I use a fair amount on the paved roads. Other than that, we have a gravel road I'm on. We're on our way up to a state forest. And it's got some ATV trails in it. We'll go run some of those trails. It's really good on this kind of thing. Paved roads is great. You know, get on the paved twisties through the woods. It's a ball of fun. It really is. This kind of thing is, of course, good. Handles it very well. I'll go down to fire roads in the forest, which are a little narrower, not quite as nice as this. Fire trails, which tend to get more of a two-track setup, so it handles those very nicely. ATV trails are good for the most part, no problem there. So we'll stop up here in a little ways and do a walk around, kind of show you some of the things I did to it. But it's overall, it's a really fun bike. Pros and cons, of course, as with any other bike. Some of the pros with this bike, I just, you know, I'm going to start with the engine. This engine is just magic. It's just so smooth and linear, and I don't really get any vibration out of it at all. I've heard people say they do. I don't. Smooth engine, great power characteristics. There's an ATV trail. I'll take that here in a little bit. It's got good power. I would say this bike is it a real fast bike? Well, I wouldn't describe it as fast. Oh, yeah, I mean, it'll easily hit 100. So I mean, but it's a low to mid-range bike. It's really good in mid-range. It's how I would describe it as like a lively, kind of playful type of. It's just fun. You know, you just go out and run the bike. This engine is just tuned just for how I would want a bike like this. Can't say enough about that. The exhaust is, it's maybe one of the better factory exhausts I can think of. I'm not saying it's the best one out there. If there is, I haven't heard it. But it just sounds so good that you don't really, I don't have any desire to upgrade the exhaust. It's got enough power for how I use the bike, and I don't have any desire to do that. Other bikes, I've put complete exhausts on it. If it needs it, I'll put an ECU on it if it needs it, which leads into the next thing, the throttle response, the delivery, the fuel delivery, the mapping is just beautiful. I'm at the point in my life where I just don't tolerate bad mapping. I just don't. There are so many bikes out there, and granted, they're fighting the EPA. They get the restrictions to keep them cleaner and cleaner. It keeps getting harder for them every year. I get it. I know that. So then, how can this one be so good? You know, this is just completely bone stock as far as the engine, the mapping, the ECU, the exhaust, everything. Road underwater. Okay, well, that's interesting. Let's see how she does in water today. hope for the best. I can't see anything. Whoa. Alright, that's a win. I'll take it. So when you start to roll on the throttle, it idles great, it starts great. Everything is good there. It never dies on its own. When you start to take off, it's as smooth and linear as you could even imagine. There's no hits, there's no flame outs, there's no hiccups and belches and everything else that you see a lot of these bikes do nowadays. It's very well done. On that note, did a little bit of looking on these, and most people know that they use the same engine in other models. It's the MT-07. They also have a sport bike that they put it in. And also, I don't know if many people know that, but in racing, the American flat track, so motorcycles on flat tracks, dirt, that's used in the Super Twins. At least the base engine. I'm sure it's highly modified. Let's jump over on this trail. It's a lot of fun. It's just a fun bike just to go ripping around with. As you're probably aware, it doesn't have any traction assist, and you know, it only has ABS. That's it. That's pretty bare bones, but I'm a bare bones guy. That's how I like it. When you do a suspension upgrade, yes, it's smoother, it feels better, but it's, in my honest opinion, it's a safer bike. It's just a safer bike, because if you're coming along and you hit like right up here, you get some kind of washout or some kind of like boom right there. I barely felt it on this thing. It just eats it up. And if you get in some like the stock suspension, that starts bucking you around. If you get a couple of them together, you have a chance of going down. Set it all up, and oh boy, I tell you, wow, what a difference. So I set my sag up with just my riding gear, as is, like I'm here today. And this has the adjustable rear suspension, the hand adjustable. And I achieved my sag numbers at a little choppy there. I received the proper sag numbers at about 14 or 15 clicks off of 0. So you turn it counterclockwise till it stops, but don't force it. And you go click, 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 count them up, about 14 or so. That's the right sag for me. Which is about 30% of the travel. So when I'm geared up with my helmet riding gear as is, I'll sit on the bike and it'll go down about 30% of the travel. It's a ballpark, but you know, it works pretty good. So when I put my camping gear on, I'll give it another 5 or 6 clicks, and I set the sag with the camping gear on. So now it's repeatable. So I can get in there when I go camping. All I got to do is kick it up about 6 clicks, and when the camping gear comes off, I'll back it off 5-6 clicks. I'm ready to go. So new springs front and back, works really good. The valving is just about right for how I want to use it. It's what a difference on you know, on something like this. It's just amazing. So this is, again, 2022 Yamaha Tenere 700. Walk around, the color is Raven, is what it's known as. I believe that's exclusive to the year 2022. Exhaust, I don't know if it comes across the camera, but it sounds good just sitting there. Got a little bag, added a rack on the back, doesn't come with anything. Real quick, some of the ads. This rack is from Alt Rider. It's a really good rack, perfect size for what I was looking for. I also have a set of 40-liter bags, so they come down the side on both sides. It's hard plastic, and then you can put a bigger duffel on top. That's what I use for camping. I get everything I need in there for a couple nights. I also put on, these are the factory Yamaha engine guards. So I just wanted some protection up on here in case you lay it over. Didn't want to be buying all these parts, so pretty good protection that way. The skid plate was a little light. I didn't replace that until the second year. This one is a camel gut guard, they call it. One thing I like about this one that the factory one didn't have is there's a HDPE strip that goes all the way down the center. So it's going to slide over rocks and logs and stuff a lot better. And also it extends under here to protect your rear shock linkage. So it's a little additional protection that you don't see from the factory. Here's PDR Performance. They're the folks that did my suspension, front and back. It's amazing. That's so worth it. It's not even funny. I put in something else I'm sure you've all heard, is the two bars right in here. That's I think that's also from Camel. They call it a anti-bobblehead. So everything is rubber mounted, which is a good design. I like that. These are a little flubbery. Personally, I haven't had any problems with them. I know people that have. But the headlight assembly, when you hit bumps at night, it would just flicker and shake. You put these bars in here, and it's still rubber mounted. It still moves. So from protection standpoint, it's still there, but it doesn't vibrate and shake. So that's just something that bothered me. It wasn't an ill effect of any kind of operation. I just had to do it just for my own sake. Put a GPS mount, hardwired it so the cradle goes down in here. What they do is you pull off a side panel, one side or the other. I can get this off if you're careful about it without removing the engine guards. You just loosen it and slide it out, unplug the turn signal. There's two sources of power on each side, so you have 4. You can run your accessories on both sides. I did add this charger. This is just a blank when you get it, or at least this model year. It gives you battery voltage. There's a USB and then a USB-C. And that's a very easy install. Just goes right out the bottom, and ran it around and plugged it into one of those. Comes with a 12-volt outlet. This handlebar pad is not factory. This is off of my 2022 WR450F. And I went with it just because it matches so well. I mean, it's just like it was made for it. So I just had to do it. I love it. This black, this Raven black, it's hard to see, but if you get the sun shining on it, there's a metal flake in it, so it kind of lights up, and there's a gray accent. I love the bike. I love the bike. So let's go for a ride, get rid of some of these bugs. They're just ridiculous out here right now. There's a lot of pros. It gets really good gas mileage. The engine, exhaust, everything is good. The service intervals are very generous. I change oil, you know, at more like about half what they recommend, just because I feel like that we should. What do we got in the road? Turkey up here. Now you can come out here on a Saturday, 11:30. It's almost noon. And you go out in these state forests and you can run all day on a Saturday. So far I haven't seen anybody. And I may not. It's all public land. It's there for everybody to use. And it's fun. So, it's kind of greasy, muddy in here. Let's talk about that then. So the stock tires, those Pirellis that it comes with, they're good tires. They're good tires for the road, and they're okay for like dry gravel. Gravel roads are okay, you know. The farther you get off road or the worse conditions, the worse they get. So I upgraded these. I put one season on them, and I upgraded these to Yamaha Adventure. Got some pretty good deeper lugs in them, deeper knobs. I got a little loose even on these, and you'd have had your hands full with the stock ones. So if you ever get on anything like this, just do it. I would totally recommend these Yamaha Adventure tires. We'll have to see how many miles I get off them. I think I put 1,500 miles on the stock ones, and I'm almost to 4, so you know, I'll give you an idea of what I have on them so far, and they pretty much look like new still. So yeah, I should get some pretty good miles out of these. The seat, I did upgrade this seat. I ran it the first year with the stock seat, and the stock seat's not bad. You could, I mean, if you don't want to part with a couple $300 for at least for a while, it's certainly usable. You could do it. It's fine. I went with the Seat Concept seat. That, for me, I've learned over the years, I've used them for many, many years, that pretty much whatever bike I get, I can just order a Seat Concepts, what they call a comfort seat. It's going to be a little bit wider and shaped a little bit different and a little different foam, and it's going to be a huge improvement, and such is the case with this. Took the stock one off. It was fine. This one's better. It's definitely a better seat for the longer trips. With the other one, if I'd go 3 hours or so riding on anything, it's time to stop and walk around, you know. This one, I easily double that. I only need to stop for gas right now, and I'm only stopping for gas and not for seat problems. So yeah, it's a huge improvement, and I have trust in them guys over there that I know I can just order that comfort seat, and it's gonna be, that's what I want, and it's really nice to get to that point with aftermarket support. So might be a good time to mention that this is not a business for me. I do it just to put it out there, and maybe it'll help somebody if you're on the fence. It's just a different perspective on the bike, and if you can get something out of it, great. Otherwise, I just hope that, you know, we're out here riding in the woods. How can you go wrong with that? Watch it on a rainy day, or watch it in the winter when there's got 2 feet of snow out there, and it'll bring you back to summer riding times. And you know, and that's why I put this out there. It's I don't get 1 penny for anything, nor am I trying to. I'm not going to hammer you with a subscription and, you know, thumbs up and likes and whatever. If you do, great. If not, that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. It's not about money for me. So there are no endorsements, nothing like that. So when I say, you know, it's a seat concept seat, comfort seat, that's my opinion, and it's true, and it's not backed by any kind of monetary gains. So. Not that I'm against anybody that does it for a living. I think it's kind of cool. And in some respects, they're good to watch too, because they're going to go out and they're going to buy a lot more bikes, and they're going to try a lot more different aftermarket, you know, Farkles, or, you know, just different types of extra things, and they let you know what works and they let you know what doesn't. You just keep in the back of your mind that they're probably going to have some financial gain behind it. What you want to do is find the guys that, yes, we all know they're getting a benefit from it, but they'll still come up and, you know, be honest with you. A couple of those right off, they don't know I'm saying this. They don't know me from anybody, but Dork on the Road, he's got a lot of good content out there. You can pretty much listen to, you know, believe what he says, because he'll tell you the pros and the cons, even if he's selling it. So, which I respect that. Another one is Swanky Cat. He's pretty cool over there. He's just my neighbor right over here in Wisconsin. Never met him. He doesn't know me from anybody. I'm in Minnesota. He's in Wisconsin. Similar kind of riding. He's cool. I like what he says too. There's a ton of other ones, I'm sure. So I believe they just opened this trail network. We're about middle of May here, but it's still pretty wet. As you can see, we just went over that section that was underwater. Listen to that engine, you know, it's just the whole power delivery is just amazing on this bike. Okay, a couple of the cons with this bike. I think the biggest one for me, although it's not as bad in my opinion as others may lead you to believe, is the top heaviness tippy thing. So, got a great big fat tank up here. It's high. Got 4.2 gallons of gas up here if you're full. The engine is tall. It's a tall bike, relatively tall. Is it top heavy? Yes. It carries the weight up high. Is it tippy? Well, and you don't really hear anybody say this, or I haven't. It's tippy from 0 to 10. So really slow if you're wheeling around the garage. Use both hands. You know what I'm saying? It can get a little tippy that way. But once you get moving, like right now I'm doing 20. tippy top heavy is not even in the equation for me right now. Not at all. It is, though, when you get on real technical stuff, if you're going to do that, and you get real low speeds and you're crawling through stuff or up and over and stuff, it'll be a handful. But again, that's not how I use this bike. I'm at least half on pavement, and the other half I'm on roads and trails like this. This is actually, we were on an ATV trail back there, and this is actually a forest road. So it's about kind of half what your standard manicured graded gravel road is. So it's a notch down from that. Still pretty good. This handles it easily with no problems at all. ATV trails also, you can pretty much do them all with this. And you know, if I want to go on anything more than that, which in fact would be less, so something thinner and rougher and, you know, more aggressive and technical, I don't do it with this bike. That's not what this bike is to me. So how I use this bike, I absolutely love it. If I bought this bike just to go do single track with, I would not buy this bike for that. What I would do is buy a FE 450, which was designed for it. And I did, and I love it. So if I'm going to want to do anything more aggressive than this, I'll just take the Husky. And that bike is 250 pounds, dripping wet, full of fluids. That's 200 pounds lighter than this bike. Think about it. You want to wrestle another person's worth of weight on it? So it's made for that, and it does it very well. This bike can do it, but it's a lot of work, and then you gotta consider the fun factor. That again is what you don't hear too much. Oh, this bike is made for off-road. Well, yeah, this is off-road, kinda. The ATV trails are kinda off-road, things like that. But when you're out jumping with it, and you've seen these bikes on every kind of motocross track, and people are taking them on Taurus. He's jumping up concrete culverts and doing every kind of crazy thing with it, and it is so fun to watch, and I love watching that stuff. Would I even consider doing something like that? No. If I were to really wanted to climb up culverts, I'd go buy a trials bike or something that's made for that. So, just my opinion, I keep this on things that I believe it was made for, and it does well at. I don't try to take this bike way out of its comfort zone. Now, granted, this bike will do far more than I use it for. No question. You can go on some crazy off-road stuff with it. But is it fun? And so you start losing the fun factor. And I only do this for fun, so it's got to be fun, or I'm not going to do it. And that's just where it's at. So I won't knowingly take this up. We don't have mountains really around here, so it's pretty much just woods riding. I won't knowingly take this on some nasty single track. I just won't do it. So within the parameters that I ride this bike is absolutely amazing. The top heavy tippy is really not a concern. You need to be just the slightest bit aware of if you're gonna stop out on this stuff. You just gotta be aware of where you're stopping, because in the tippy zone, 0 to 10, you know, it can be a little tippy, a little hard to handle. So short story, too late, I know. Would I recommend this bike? Absolutely. It's got so much going for it. You got to be aware of a couple of the, you know, the cons. Show me a bike that doesn't have a con, I'll buy it. So again, I love the power, the handling, the engine, the maintenance intervals, the reach on it. You can get out and just go across the state and go just wherever you want, whenever you want. It's up for it. Easy, simple maintenance. Valve checks are just some ridiculous. I don't know. I don't even know what it is. I'd have to check it. I know we're near I think it's like 15,000 miles or something. So very extended. You know, it's just a bit of a we might call it a detuned engine. Detuned and it being the opposite of like a dirt bike engine that's just wound up tight and won't last. This thing is built to last, I guess is a better way to put that. Great performance, great mileage. Let's see where I'm at on mileage since we've been doing some of that. Yeah, 53.7 miles to gallon. By the way, the transmission is buttery smooth. The clutch is a cable, but it's a nice light cable clutch pull. It feels good for a cable. It's a very light pull. It's 2 fingers.